What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode number 122 of Park to Prem, here with Town or Town. Today we have a home fixture against Tottenham, and it's starting to feel a little bit Christmassy. I've opened up my advent calendar. It's the 1st of December, and well, that means it's been a little while since you were last here, so 2 months have passed. Plenty of football played in that time, including 2 international breaks, which as England manager, I feel it's my duty just to tell you what happened. We will go into a lot more detail next time we're with England. What you need to know is that we didn't do very well. We didn't do great. We lost against France, we then drew against Croatia, we then drew against France and beat Russia. But the good news is, Dylan Turnbull, everyone. Dylan Turnbull, 4 goals in 6 caps. I mean, you might have called me biased for calling him up for the England squad to begin with, but he is rewarding my bias just fine. So, great news there. Meanwhile, if you were wondering, Sonny Best watch, just to have a look at how he's getting on. He's got 5... He's not scored. And last time... No, he still doesn't want to join us. I was about to say last time I checked, he wasn't interested. He's still not interested in joining us. The great news is, on the club front, things are going really well. You can see right now, we currently sit in 3rd place. We are only 2 points behind Man City. We've avoided injuries. We're scoring plenty of goals. Defensively, we're not doing particularly great, but we're just competing on every single front. And one of the big bits of news is the fact that we are already guaranteed to finish top of the Europa League group with a game in hand. So I have been able to afford myself just a little bit of rotation. Anyway, you can see the games here, plenty to get through. The first of which was a 2-1 win at Pride Park. A Turnbull late goal was the winner, and he actually came on off the bench in this game. A great little turnaround, and following on from that, Shvetsov, well, he continued to do his thing as we beat Liverpool at home. A huge result for us, this one. Andrei Shvetsov with 2 goals. And yesterday in the comment section, someone said that I should be selling Shvetsov. He's not that good anymore. He's not a 30-goal-a-season striker. I feel like he took personal offence to that. He was very good in this game. And, in the game following, we were just very good on the whole. We took on Vitesse. We won 5-0. Turnbull with 2. They had an own goal. Shvetsov and Andre with the other goals in that one. You'd think after beating Liverpool that Wolves would be a walk in the park. It was not. A 0-0 draw. It was boring. Next game, a win against Arsenal. Yes, we've had some huge results against the big teams, but then you draw against Wolverhampton Wanderers and you kind of wonder what happened there then. But no, this performance against Arsenal was absolutely superb. Shvetsov with a goal and Volta with a goal as well. And that was a great little fight back after we conceded early on. Volta has really come out of his shell. In the last 2 months, he has started to push GCL in the centre attacking mid position. And you can see he continued to do that in the month of November. We took on Vitesse. We'd already beaten them 5-0 with a 4-2 win. We guaranteed ourselves a top 2 spot. Volta with a goal, Makassi, Victor Manuel Alvarez and Maticevic with the goals in that one. A very rotated team, so great to see, a lot of the lesser, household first team players kind of coming in and doing well in that match. We then beat Burnley 3-0. Really good goal to open up this match. Really nicely worked around. In some ways, it was a shame it was an own goal and GCL couldn't quite get his toe to it. But a great clean sheet. Burnley struggling at home. This is the kind of game that if we really want to push for a top 4 finish this year, we need to be winning. So to win it as convincingly as this was great. Palazzolo also getting a late goal in this game, of course, has come in really to be a plan B. And he's a fantastic plan B at that. One of the best strikers that I've ever had as a backup in recent Football Manager memory. I really like him, and he has shown a lot of killer instinct on off the bench. I don't want to say he's replaced Charlie Brown, but Charlie Brown's not been getting the goals off the bench. Giacomo Palazzolo, he's just the go-to guy when we need those wins. Anyway, the next game we had was against Watford, a 2-1 win in this one. Kevin Deacon, you mad lad, what an insane goal to open up this game from the right back. Suddenly, he looks like he was worth the £16 million that we paid. Adrian Highland then bundled the ball over the line from a corner that was not cleared. That was a great little goal. In the dying embers of it, Jake Wilson did get a goal for them to make it 2-1, but 2-1 is how it finished. We then took on Basel, and I probably could have rotated the team for this game, but we were just in such hot form, the players were ready and raring to go, so we went full strength and a 4-0 win. And, well, we scored another 4 just a couple of days later against Brighton. Giacomo again getting 2, Adrian Highland again getting a goal, and Volta getting an absolutely, I want to call it a fantastic goal. That's perhaps a stretch. It got kicked at his head, but it ended up in the back of the net off him. And, well, he's just been top draw. But another great result here, and we are starting to build a nice little bit of momentum. When we beat Liverpool, that felt great. When we drew against Wolves, I started to worry. The win against Arsenal kind of put us back on the straight and narrow, and I feel like we've really started to develop some momentum. We're doing really well on the European stage, and that's kind of bled into our league form. I feel like winning is just a great habit to have. Anyway, you can see Volta here. Incredible player. Unfortunately, he's twisted his ankle recently, but you can see some of his recent development. He is now natural at centre-attacking mid, and he's not the kind of player who I feel like I'd ever play as the box-to-box midfielder, just because he's just lacking a little bit too much in the defensive department for me with his positioning, marking and tackling. But I'll tell you what, as an attacking midfielder on support, or as an advanced playmaker on attack, which is something we have been experimenting with, he has been really, really good for us. So yeah, those are the games that we've had since we last here. As I said, we have changed the centre attacking mid role. This has always been attacking mid on attack. I've changed it to playmaker. Volta's really done well with it, so I'm interested to see how GCL gets on with this new role as well. That's certainly going to be interesting today. You can see in the Premier League, we sit third. We are only 2 points behind Manchester City. I mean, our form so far this year is looking really, really good. You can see here the Europa League table. We do still have Roma to play, but nothing is going to change across the group stage. Really delighted with how well that's gone. In a little bit of other news, a few weeks ago, I was able to ask for an increased wage budget again, which was granted. I wonder if we can ask for an increased transfer budget now. We can. I didn't have this option before. Can we have a bit more money, Alexander? Apparently he thinks the budget's sufficient. Okay. You know what? I'm not going to push the issue. Maybe when we get to January, the budgets will be revisited. Our board expectation this year was a mid-table finish. Now, at this point, I'm staring at things thinking, we've really got to be pushing for a top 4 here. But this game that we have today against Tottenham is a game that we absolutely have to win to prove that we are worthy. Obviously, in the Carabao Cup, we got knocked out by Chelsea. The FA Cup is the only other domestic competition that we are in. We got Chelsea again. That is at the start of next month, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm a little bit annoyed about that because we don't do particularly well against Chelsea. Although, I say that, last year at the end of the season, we beat them twice. So maybe I need to look less at this season and more at last season for some inspiration. In terms of the team for today's game, I'm actually going to bring in Matasovic to play centre mid on box-to-box. I really, really like this guy. Obviously, homegrown at club. I do read the comments, so I know that some people think I'm majorly biased in his favour, but at 21 years old, he's got a load of potential left to fulfil. I want to be giving him that regular first-team football. And whilst I know there are a few 10s and 11s across the board, generally speaking, with a box-to-box midfielder, it's very rare to have them be, 13s and 14s in absolutely everything, particularly if it's a player homegrown at club. But you know what? He scores goals for fun on the international stage, a super versatile player, and I want to make sure that Matasovic gets as much development time as he can. So he has been playing a little bit more than Lazarus as of late. I talked about Volta doing very well in recent months. Mateus Aurelio definitely deserves a mention as well. He has really, really improved. His form in his last 5 games has been superb. You can see in the Europa League, he is averaging above an 8.0 rating. Hopefully that can start to come through in the league as well. But you know what? For a player who we paid £22 million for and is our big earner, he's starting to show his value. Now, McCassie scored from the penalty spot recently, and he's impressed me a lot as well. He's continuing to improve. He looks absolutely superb. I still have this issue where I don't really know what to do with him, because I'm never going to play him as the deep line playmaker in our system, and that's something that I don't really want to change the role of, because it's quite important to how we build up the play, the way that our deep line playmaker drops in between our 2 centre-backs who are set to stay wider. They'll split apart and the deep line playmaker will drop in behind. Now, obviously, we've got Leskinen who can play there, but yeah, I mean, McCassie he's not built for that role. I need to work out what I want to do with McCassie. I know for some people, they'd look at the 8 heading and say, that's a hard nope. You can't have a centre-back with 8 heading. The more I look at it, the more I'm thinking like I might need to give him the benefit of the doubt with that drawback. Just see how he does, even with 8 heading. Now, I have obviously, as you saw a couple of episodes ago, played him as the box-to-box midfielder as well. I feel like, again, you know, similar to Matasevic, there's always going to be a few gaps in a player's game as a box-to-box player. More defensively minded for sure, but he has insane physicals. Has some potential as well. I do wonder if it's worth just focusing on his technical ability and seeing if we can just convert him into a centre mid. It's a weird one. The other option, and it's something that we've discussed before, is he could actually be quite a good wing-back, which I know sounds mental because he doesn't really play there at all at the moment. There is a risk, of course, that in learning a new position that he'll decline as a footballer overall, but he has a lot less drawbacks as a wing-back than he does as a box-to-box midfielder or a goalkeeper. I don't know, let me know. How would you solve a problem like McCassie? I feel like I've asked that question 2 or 3 times and I never get a good answer from you guys. So, homework for today, go down in the comments section. What would you do with McCassie? In terms of the rest of the team, though, Palazzolo, I've talked about his great goal-scoring form. Charlie Brown, Charlie. I mean, he's improving a load, which obviously is great to see. If we just look at his development all time, he's shown a little bit of steady development since he joined us last year for £7.25 million. Over the summer, I did get a bid of £20 million for him, which I rejected because we are short on English players in general in the squad, and I feel like he's a pretty good English striker anyway. But I do need to see him start scoring some goals on off the bench. You can also see he has started 3 games for us this year. It's not like he's not getting first team opportunities. Just not really flourishing just yet. I know the Ogre deserves a mention. He's doing quite good, the 21-year-old. You know what? Europa League, he's doing great. In the league, just below that 7.0 rating that would see the circle be green. For a player who's kind of new into the team, I'm pretty content with what he's brought us. Has he looked like a £44 million player? Probably not. Has he developed as much as I would like? Again, probably not. But you know what? He's valued at £30 million. I feel like we'd get our money back at the end of the day if we needed to. His partner in crime, by the way, Soretta. Oh my word. This man, he's channeling the inner ghost of Andre. That inner ghost of just ridiculous improvement at a rate that I didn't really expect. Such a shame that he's inconsistent. It's such a shame that he lacks technique. Right now we are training him to have, you know, better ball control. I would like to get that technique up to at least 10. I would like his dribbling and first touch to be that tiny bit better. But what an incredible centre-back Soretta is turning out to be, especially when you consider he was bought for £170,000. But yeah, I mean, the team on the whole is looking good, you know. There's been disappointments, I guess, in terms of player development. Certainly some players who I was hoping would improve more than they have. But at the same time, we're performing so well. And the team has seen rotation. I know we're not really seeing that here today because this is, for the most part, what I'd consider our best 11. But there have been games where we've rotated things, and you wouldn't have noticed it. That was one of my big concerns this year was, and over the summer, kind of, could we improve our second string team enough that when I do need to rely on them, and I knew there would be times where that would happen, could they do the business? And you know what? Palazzolo has looked very good, or Palazzolo. Is it which way? Palazzolo. For some reason I was like, is it Palazzolo? Oh, help me. It's Palazzolo. That's all that matters. It's a confusing name. There's lots of Zs in it. Right, let's move on. Leskinen, save me. Whips it near post. Turnbull. I mean, he's been scoring goals for fun for England. Unfortunately, they're heading over. Now, Tottenham currently sit in 5th or 6th place. They are a few points behind us, really, but if we want to prove that we're part of the elite group, you know, the team who are pulling away as a top 4, which I think was the case last year in the league, certainly. There was a bit of a gap between the top 4 and those behind. This is the kind of game we need to win. And we've not had a very good first half, have we? GCL's not really performed. This is the kind of moment where I'd absolutely love to be bringing in Volta. But of course he's twisted his blooming ankle, so he's sat at home with his ankle on ice. Which means, well, we sit here and now knowing that we don't really have a plan B at centre attack in mid. Although Turnbull, we might not need a plan B. He should be banging that in, shouldn't he? Gasparini, superb save. Mateus Aurelio, by the way, the right back. Great little through ball there. Weighted it superbly. But that's probably the opportunity gone, unless the corner can have something come of it. And while Tottenham are going to defend it. It's not a bad start to the first half, but I feel like it might be time to get a little shouty. Look at that body language. They are loving it. And now we're gone. And you know what? Shouty's not really working. Let's do some subby, shall we? I'm going to bring in Palazzolo to play. I was about to say I was going to bring him in to play centre attacking mid. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to bring in Tizzy, or Lazarus rather, at centre-back. I'm going to move Leskinen forward, and then we're going to bring in Adrian Hyland. Now, Hyland, he's not the craziest player in the world. He's, you know, largely solid, but he has done okay this year. And so we're going to shuffle things around a little bit. Andre going to play centre attacking mid, Leskinen and Lazarus, and then Hyland in behind. I am wondering, Dylan Turnbull, get off the pitch, get out of my sight. Palazzolo, get on the field. That is our last sub. Is that the sub I want to do? I think it is. I've really liked having Volta on off the bench, and I will say with his injury, we kind of lack that plan B. Obviously, this game hasn't had a great deal of opportunities. You would have to say, considering that we are playing one of the big teams in the league, we are, you know, doing pretty well. We've created a lot more chances than them, both, you know, clear-cut and half chances. I don't want to say we deserve to be winning, but we probably should be ahead. I'm now a little bit concerned because they are bringing the ball forward here. It's whipped back post as well. Barnes is there, hits it. I mean, it feels a little against the run of play. I did also notice in the top left that Liverpool are beating Man City, which is a bit of a disaster for us because Man City are only 2 points ahead of us at the top of the table. So a win here could have seen us go up to second or maybe even first. Oh, it's a bit of a gut punch that. I feel like Morgan should probably do better. I mean, we've got to go a little bit more direct and a little bit quicker, haven't we, with our play, really. We don't have a lot of time. Let's get it over the defence. Let's get it out quickly. We have, 6 minutes to try and get a goal. It's going to be a bit of a roll of the dice here. Leskinen, free kick, or corner rather, whips it in. Palazzolo heads over. Was that the opportunity? I mean, no, it wasn't, is the answer. Narrator, it was not the moment. There could be something here, although we may need to do some defending. Ball, Whitford, Palazzolo, do it now. You Italian stallion, you wazzock. You absolute wazzock. He's had 2 chances in a row. That was the best of the 2. And that was the chance to get a draw in this game, which would have been a huge draw. Leskinen gets man of the match. I mean, bless him. He's done absolutely everything he could, the Thin. Boys, that's not good enough. That is not good enough. Now, it boils down to our strikers missing the opportunities, to be fair. So you can see with that result, we stay third, which is the main thing. Chelsea lost against Manchester United. Liverpool played Man City and they got a last-minute goal, which helped us out because Liverpool would have gone ahead of us. I didn't realise how many of the top teams were playing each other this weekend. Wow, the top 6 all playing one another. That's kind of unusual. Meanwhile, Arsenal lost to Everton, so they didn't close the gap on us either. Okay, I didn't realise how far Arsenal are behind us. They've got 22 points after 15 games. They are way off the pace. I mean, that doesn't really make me feel better about that defeat. Our 2 defeats this year, 2 narrow 1-0s as well. Oh, are we going to live to rue the missed chances in that game that we just had? I feel like those are the kind of games that we might grow to live to regret. Oh, right. Well, in terms of when we'll be back, on Boxing Day, folks, we are going to be taking on Manchester United. Now, they are currently top of the league. That feels like quite a big game to me. I think we'll double it up with the Newcastle United game as well, because they are our local rivals. I like to get a win over them. And following on from that, we may even jump forward past the Wolves game, just have a little look into the transfer market about, you know, plans and what we might be able to do in the month of January. Because, well, whilst the transfer budget hasn't been increased, our wage budget has a lot of excess. And I'll tell you now, everyone, I have been looking at players whose contracts are expiring at the end of the season. There's a few that I've got my eye on. Patrick Worm looks quite good, even if he is injury prone and I don't really need another striker. If I could get him on a free transfer, I'd probably take him. Sorry, Charlie Brown. Also, Kevin Kaiser here. Oh, this is the man I want. This is the man I need. He's 19 years old. He looks incredible as a deep line playmaker. And I really, really want him. So let's hope that Groningen don't get a new deal signed for him. Because I want him in Towler colours come next year. They tried to fleece me for £30 million for him last year. But, I mean, he looks absolutely insane. And I love how consistent he is. And he's only 19. Right, well, we'll find out in the next couple of episodes, I suppose, if we're able to get our hands on him. But either way, disappointment today. It's hard to feel anything other than that, really, even if it was a close game. We should have won. We could have done more. Well, we have to live and we have to learn, I suppose. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up everything from me today. A disappointing result, but we're still in a fantastic position this season. I hope that we can keep it going. I hope that we can keep some momentum going. I really, really like this squad that we are amassing. The development is looking superb. Every reason to be optimistic for the future. Maybe we can turn our future and our fortunes around next time. It's going to be a big double live com. I hope to see you for it. It is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.